So welcome to the culture for today's video, where we're going to dive a little deeper into the topic that we started in last week's video, talking about the overall kinematics that are occurring through the glenohumeral joint in both the low bar squat and the bench press. So if you haven't gone back and seen that video, here's the thumbnail. There'll be a link in the description box as well. But today what we're going to go through is two very simple assessments that we use here at Melbourne Strength Culture as a part of a more global assessment that we move through with every single person that comes to our door to train. And how this assessment for Didier, who is experiencing some anterior and superior shoulder pain in both the low bar squat and mainly the bench press, how we can identify what is the actual cause of the pain for Didier and how we can then rectify that by either choosing our either a mobility or stability sort of approach to improve his feelings. So the two tests that we're going to look at today is external rotation of the glenohumeral joint and extension of the glenohumeral joint. As we touched on last week, both of these movements drive the humeral head forward in the socket of the glenohumeral joint and can actually press into the anterior, both passive and active stabilizers of the joint. More often than not, it's the bicep tendon that can then flare up and provoke a little bit of pain. So what we're going to do is we're going to take Didier through to start with some active ranges of external rotation and extension on the left-hand side, which is his good side. So this is his good side. We're going to move him to the side of the table. We're going to get him to move into external rotation, trying not to drive too much accessory movement of any other joints. We're going to be looking for about 90 degrees of external rotation here. This is his good side, and we can see we pretty much get there. What we can then also do is if we go through the range passively, we can see that he definitely has greater ranges of external rotation passively than he does actively. This would be indicative of a slight deficit in stability, so more of a stability restriction in external rotation. Again, granted, this is his good side. We then move into extension, so we move him to the side of the bed here, and we go for an active raise into extension, glenohumeral extension. For this range, we're looking for about 50 degrees. We're probably a little bit short, but again, what we can do is that we can just move through passively, and we can see that he definitely gets the 50 degrees of shoulder extension. Again, this will be indicative of Didier having some deficits in stability. The glenohumeral joint doesn't have enough stability to control the ranges of motion that he passively has. If we then get him to move to his good side, his poor side, sorry. So this will then be his painful side, and we look at external rotation here. We can see when compared to the left-hand side, which is his good side, we are severely limited in external rotation actively. Is that painful?
Yeah.
That's a little bit painful as well, which will restrict the overall movement because pain does diminish motor control. We then look though in external rotation. Passively, he definitely still has that range of motion, 100%. Is that any more painful?
No.
No, so it's no more painful for him to enter that range of motion, but he just can't actively get himself there. It's definitely there passive. It's a very soft end range feel. He could probably take him a little bit further, but actively he doesn't have the requisite stability to control that external rotation. And now if we look at his extension, we can see, again, is that painful? Yeah. That's painful, so we're getting that painful response, and we also have completely reduced range of motion here. But again, and I know this will be a little bit painful, but just stop me if it gets too much, we still have a lot of range here. If we need to, we can access that range of motion. You can sit up now. So this is just a very quick assessment that we can use here at Melbourne Strength Culture to determine whether or not we need to go a mobility approach or a stability approach with somebody who is presenting with anterior shoulder pain on both the low bar squat and the bench press. We can see with Didier, on his good side, he still has slight deficits in stability, but overall they're nowhere near as close to his right-hand side where he's experiencing pain. On the right-hand side, he can access the range of motion passively, but he just can't get there actively stabilizing himself. So what Didier needs is a stability-based program to help him access that external rotation and that extension so that he doesn't experience the pain when he's moving through the movements. That's what we're going to go through next week, because that's going to be a whole nother open conversation on how we can better stabilize the glenohumeral joint for both the low bar squat and the bench press. And if you experience shoulder pain or anterior superior shoulder pain, some strategies that we can then employ to improve those feelings over time. If you have any comments, drop them in the comments section below. If you have any questions or whatever, just straight in there. You can follow us through all of our links in the description box. As always, I'd recommend that you subscribe to follow along with this little glenohumeral series that we're going through here on the Strength Culture YouTube channel. And that's pretty much it for today. Happy lifting, and we'll see you next week.